do my greetings once you chime me in.
Alright, well, welcome everybody to the World Sprint Championship. You heard him already, but that was the voice of the lovely Eero joining us once more. Tell me, Le Mans, mate, how are you feeling? Of course, it is the titular track of the game, but also it's a unique track in its own right. So how do you feel about Le Mans? How you feel about us going there tonight?
It is deservedly the titular track of the title. A classic. Movies have been made of this track. Some very good ones also. It's a legend. I'm looking very much forward to tonight's race. It's gonna be a spectacle to witness.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Absolutely. It's going to be brilliant. I'm definitely excited to see what the drivers do and how they make this unique track a beautiful dance of automotive affection. Now, a lot of fancy words just used there, but let's bring it back to earth for a second. Let's talk about last time out. Now, we came out of Imola, and we have, of course, our podium sitters to consider. Pecossi took the top honours alongside Bellucci and Butsin in the hypercars. So, solid performances all around, with Pecossi and Bellucci being the two Lamborghinis currently pegged to be the favourites to win the hypercar title. Both only drivers in the 200 points range and a whole 50 points ahead away from third place, which goes to Schlichting. Meanwhile, in the hypercars, smaller and nippier, or at least more agile cousin, it's going to be the LMGT3s, with Timo Lehtinen taking a solid victory yesterday. Last round, but bringing him to 9 points proximity to second place finisher Robert Poor, and Alistair Ramsey putting himself in fourth place with a second podium on the trot, bringing him potentially within contention for the title. So with that in mind, things are heating up on the championship front.
They absolutely are. It's a lot of points on the table again, and drivers will have to do their best to grab those.
Yeah, they're going to have to work hard, that's for sure, because things are heating up. Usually by this point, you start to see some drivers being isolated and different battles start to segment out, the points not really being viable anymore to make those bigger jumps. But it seems like the opposite is happening. Certainly in the GT3 category, we're seeing more drivers getting condensed closer together rather than pushing further apart.
So there we go in the championship, the more speed and more control the drivers have managed to squeeze out of their cars. And it's gonna stay interesting, and it's gonna stay close right up until the very end, I hope.
I hope so too. But we are going to go trackside now. We are joining the one and only hypercar of Alessandro Grossi. It's going to go to the number 50 Ferrari, and that will be him warming his tyres up down the segments of the Mulsanne Straight here in the 499P. We will also have the faithful return of the picture-in-picture cam. As we can see, we've got Eero's POV keeping an eye on the GT3s, as he always does. Keeps us right in the heart of the action, so we have both fronts of the track well and truly covered. But this is going to be a test of speed more than anything else. Of course, the Mulsanne Straight being the iconic set piece of the track, and provided you can get the car slowed down for the two chicanes and the ending right-angled corner, you can produce some insane lap times.
Yeah, it's all about the top-end speed around here. The long straight trademark of the track. In fact, they had to nerf one of the straights with the chicane because the car kept going airborne.
Of course, we don't need to repeat the history on that one. I think viewers at home, we know all too well. But it is going to be a big one here tonight, because this will be a test of bravery. Now, you mentioned about the top end, about that being a big deciding factor, but just because you have massive straights and real opportunities to get some high speeds, as we're seeing with Butsin, he's losing the rear end on his approach, on his outlap. It's very easy, as a compromise of that top end speed, to lose a bit of grip, particularly on the rear axle. and you really have to wrangle the car more so than you would at other circuits because you've compromised your aero to achieve those crucial extra kilometers an hour.
Yeah, that low downforce setup people will be running around here will, well, not will, but might eventually bite them in the rear at the Porsche curves or one of the chicanes. It's always a compromise.
Yeah, so
You're absolutely right there.
yeah, big compromises need to be made. It's also just about how far you're willing to go. How far towards the edge are you willing to push in order to extract that little extra distance, that little extra on the course. But we can see now drivers are commencing their laps. Let's jump on board for the time being with a certain hypercar that's taken a bit of a liking to the front end of the championship fight. This is Federico Picossi. He's going on to the approach of the Mulsanne Straight now as we speak. But let's see what kind of pace he can extract. We're going to jump on board here. You can see 300 plus kilometers an hour, still climbing. 320, 325, almost before he has to jump on the brakes for the chicane. He's going to just about touch it. There you go, all the way heavy on the brakes. Get that car right slowed down, all the way down to second gear, and then shift up to power out without losing the traction.
Those hypercars produce some impressive speeds down the Mulsanne Straight here. It's insane how fast they go.
So keep an eye on the timing sport, both the hypercars and the LMGT3s as things progress here in the session. You know it well by this point. We have a 15-minute qualifying ahead of us before a full 60-minute length race. Of course, the strategy is going to be a key factor in how the later segments of the race play out, but it's all going to be about that early jump, that early speed. We're going to see that here with drivers testing the waters already in the dead of night. So we now come out of the Mulsanne and into the final sector of the course.
It's GT3s we are alongside with Robert Burr, one of the few drivers who have completed their outlap and are now on a fast lap.
So most drivers, they know how long it can take to get a lap of Le Mans done. So they're jumping out pretty much immediately. We have occasionally had drivers who stayed in for a bit longer. But no, pretty much everyone is already on a fast lap or on their out laps. Even the LMGT3s, most of them are already on the full core laps. So they are certainly aware of how little chances they get. Because the time hasn't changed, but the track, remember I say 13.8 kilometers, I believe. Oh no, 13.6, I think.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you what's the track length.
Yeah.
I had forgotten, but yeah, it is a long track.
Yeah, it's a very long track. 13.6 kilometers is nothing to scoff at, but here we go, final couple of chicanes here. It's a quick snap of the axle. So Picossi, I think, just lost it and jumped one of the apexes in that final approach. Let's see, will it still be valid? Unfortunately, oh no, never mind. It's a bit of a delay on our telemetry. 331.438, so it was a valid Sector 3 still. And that is going to be a class run. Matteo Bouquet is going to be with a 332.399 in the Gazoo racing car for the number 7 Toyota. Dan Wilson just going into the pits, but he scored himself a 334.870. And then we have a few other entrants making their way through. Alexander Borgso, 336. 340 coming in from Alessandro Grossi. Kerner going in with 47. Holstenius, 336. Mika Patush just comes across the line, 30.722. So the heat is certainly on. Next couple of cars making their way. Henrik de Vries just crossing over the final chicane. And will it be a solid time? It will be a 336.499. So just shy of the top 5. stage is set. Already seeing a lot of grid spread, so that will condense down. We will see drivers still change about in the hypercars, but let's also see how the LMGT3s are doing in the second cam. So you can see, I think that
Yep,
is
we got
Poor coming, right?
yeah, with Power is just crossing the line with a 4-minute 10.965. Good show. Let's see if other drivers can catch that up.
As I'm noticing the time difference, quite a large one. Now, usually we see LMGT3s being 8 to 15 seconds slower than a hypercar lap, but here, 40 seconds. That is a much larger margin. Where do you think they lose the majority of that time?
It's gonna be those long straights with the higher top speed of the hypercars. The LMGT, there aren't that many corners at Le Mans, and the LMGT3s take them not that much slower than the hypercars. It's gotta be the long straights, I would say.
I mean, we can arguably have a look at some of the speeds that the GT3s are taking. We're just going to jump on board quickly. This is Jordan Biddle. So on board with the Mustang here. I think it's going to demonstrate full well. 6th gear now in the Mustang GT3, the number 88 Ford. They Biddle creeping up on 270, 275 kilometers an hour. The night and day between the two divisions. They're just kissing 280 before having to break down for the chicane here. So I think very much right. You are on the speed being the major factor in those differences on the time. Meanwhile, on the tower, we can have a quick look once again. We have a few more GT3s crossing through, and it's 413s for Nisbet and Moffat. So very close running between those two. Slide from Butts in there. Barely keeping it together. Bumping his way over all the chicanes. Don't know if that's going to be valid
tonight. So it's going to be a bit slippery.
Ambient temps being low. Of course, it is going to hit them hard. Especially if you're talking about getting the tyres working. We saw the hypercars weaving practically the entire outlap previously. Still, 332 from Butson is going to put him in P4. So he's not completely out of the running. Just not an ideal lap for himself, and he'd likely want to go out for one more shot. But one more shot is all he's realistically going to get, as time is of the essence. Remember, 332s is going to be the average time on the board, but they only have about 3 minutes 40 to go, so he's not really going to have much time to waste in getting those tyres warmed up. He's going to have to send it and hope for the best.
Yep, no more prep laps. This is going to be it. Auction setting a time on the table for 14.716. Nicely done.
This is going to be Schlichting coming through. It's going to be P10, 337.249. So we have 14 hypercars joining us this evening, along with 8 LMGT3s. You can see a late joiner is going to be Mitchell Diaz. We saw him in the live chat say, quote, am I late to try a quali lap? And say, I think the question was adequately answered. Depends how quickly you can get out on that course and get your outlap done. Considering you're already in the pit, though, I think it is a little too late, because at best, you're going to take 4 minutes just to get your outlap through. The 4 out of 8 GT3s placed. 40 Letonen Biddle Stijink Inc. coming up to the end of their laps very soon.
Yep.
And meanwhile, you have 2 hypers, one of which in the pits, not having the chance to set a time.
No, wait, Jordan Biddle's dropped by Nisbet and Jordan 40, setting 44:11:08 and Nisbet 4:12:082. Impressive times both. Well done. Lehtonen and Stiechink yet to set a lap. There's Lehtonen taking the top position with 4 minutes 7 seconds. Well done.
Well done indeed. See the full table for the hypercars here. So spread of about 5 to 10 seconds on average between the multiple competitors. We have Cook, who we're on board with right now, in the midst of his final lap. We have a couple of cars as well who have currently looked to set a new time or have gone back into the pits at this point. And also check in on the GT3 times with 7 out of 8 cars having placed, let's see, 7 seconds at most, and on average about a 4-second spread. So 407 from Lehtonen leads, 4 with a 408.9, 11 flat from Jordan 40, Nisbet, Moffat, Biddle, Bergerson, and then Stiechink. I don't know if Stiechink's got a chance to set a time here. I can't see if that is a full lap or whether that's been discarded.
I do believe he is currently on a hot lap. Has passed the line. Yes, we are getting some timing. 41 seconds for the first sector.
Okay, well, we just saw that was Richard Cook, and he got himself into 12th position, so he's going to be jumping into the pits. A couple of other hypers are on a full push lap. Just coming to the end of their lap is Dan Wilson. Bit of a rough end to the run. Coming up to the line here, 34.8 to beat. Not quite going to get it, unfortunately. So we'll see if there's any changes at the top end. Does not look like it. Look like Percy going in. Mika Patush is going to be in 329.913. Pole position for the hypercars. And then Lehtonen 407.636. Unless Stiechink pulls something out of the hat.
Would have to be one heck of a lap.
Have to be a heck of a second sector, I think, in particular. That's where times are made and broken, it seems. Yeah, making his way down. Last runner on the course. You have a couple of hypers who are also still on there. Kerner, Wertzin. But most of the other racers on the field have now gone in at this stage. The Ferrari of Butzin just making his way down now. Also have Kerner in the Peugeot. Just coming out of the straight, making his way through Sector 3.
Hey Frank, he is flashing.
Flashing? Sign of frustration much, maybe?
Maybe, or maybe he knows we are following him with the stream.
Oh, yeah, way to say hi.
Yeah.
There we go, friendly little wave.
Can you imagine the public online servers if they added horns to these cars?
I daren't think about it. I think I'd be terrified from ever going on a public lobby again. For the sake of my headset. I'd have to have a headset dedicated to just this that has insane audio tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah, Butzin coming up to the end of the line. 3:32 to beat. He is going to get himself. He's going to get himself all right. 329.871. Last parting shot of the grid, and it's going to be a pole position for the Ferrari. Excellent job there. You can see Ferrari absolutely dominating the top end of the hypercars. You see Kerner coming through now. He's going to shave a whole 7 seconds off of his time, so very impressive. Definitely the most improved lap. Going to be Kerner here, and he pushes himself just into P12. Yeah, last rounds and last runs now coming to an end. You see Butson taking a bit of an earned celebration there. As it
Yeah, that was super impressive from him. That's wow, what a lap.
We are. Session is complete. And the field is now heading themselves up and getting ready for this to get started.
Go to the grid for a race start.
We will now be prepping to go ahead, and I think it's only time to head through our starting order. Let's take it row by row as we do. It's a Ferrari lockout for the front 2 rows. It's Butson and Patush leading the hypercar cohort, with Schlichting and Grossi in 3rd and 4th. 5th and 6th in row 3 is going to be joined by Picosi, current championship holder on the hypercars, with Matteo Bouquet running a close right hand. Bellucci and Hostenius is going to complete row 4 in the Lamborghini and the Porsche respectively, with the 2 Cadillacs joining sides. Henrik de Vries and Dan Wilson complete your top 10. Row 6 is going to go to Remy Alexander Borgso, Mark Ferdinand Kerner, 2 of the longest names on the grid in the Alpine and Peugeot respectively on the same row. Cook and Lettonen are going to be on row 7. End of the hypercars, start of the GT3s. Poor and Niesbet completing the podium spots for the GT3s, with 40 and Moffat closing in 4th and 5th. Coming in to row 10, into the double digits now. It's 19th and 20th, although that's going to be Net 6th and 7th. That's going to be Biddle and Bergersen, with Stijink in 21st and Michel Diaz not able to set a qualifying time. He's going to be in the Porsche at the back of the grid, and he's going to have a particularly tough job, considering he's right at the back. He'll have to be patient, have to be very patient with getting around the GT3s. He might arguably be stuck all the way to the straight.
Yep.
Either way, here we go. It may be a cold night here at Le Mans, but the track is about to go hot. It's about to get very hot here, as everyone is lining up double file in full formation. We've adjusted the car audio a little bit. Hopefully it's a bit better balanced, and we'll bring that in. Fortunately, there is a lot of variance in the audio levels on some of these spectator cams. We do apologise. Butson leads. Patrick on the side. Lettonen for Niesbet also coming in on the GT3 front. We'll have both angles of the action. There you go, round the final. It's about to get wild here. Green flag about to drop, and there you go. It's an hour of racing. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's have some fun. You already see 3, 4, potentially even 5 wide in the GT3 classes. Everyone is darting, trying to get away. Mitchell Diaz already slicing his way through, trying to get past some of the competition here. It's going to be Butson trying to assert an early lead, but he messes up on the first chicane. He's already put himself in jeopardy. There's going to be Schlichting dropping himself down a bit in the order, because he's going to take quick advantage here as he goes out wide of that first chicane, sweeping his way through, trying to get onto the back of Grossi, put some pressure down heading into the Mulsanne straight. You can meanwhile see as well Diaz trying to pass the competition. He's going to be flashing, he's going to be frustrated. He needs to get back to those hypercars, and he needs to do it yesterday. Sea of red as we head now into the Mulsanne straight, and the Picosi number 19 Lambo is going to be a lone wolf in a sea of Tifosi. Side by side, Schlichting's going to make a challenge here as we head into the first chicane of the straight. He's going to have a little bit more speed on him. Managed to get some slipstream because he's caught on the back foot. He still has to keep the balance though as we head now through. A little bit of drop as well, a little bit of squabbling as it looks like, oh no, first chicane already has claimed victims. That's going to be Borgso and I believe Kerner as well, both recovering off the side of the track. Mitchell Diaz is back in the fold and he's already made his first overtake. How are we doing on the GT3s?
There's a lot going on. Nisbet had a little off, but he's rapidly climbing the places back. Lehtonen leading, Burr in the second, 14 third. Most cars within a second or so of each other. It's all about that slipstream party now, baby.
All about the placement, all about the slipstream. Put the pressure on, get your car in the wake, in the tow, or you're going to be absolutely out of luck. Picosi, you can see, tucking in as much as he can to the wake of the 499P, just up ahead, now heading into the third sector here. Just keeping it as close as possible, try and tee up a potential move, sweeps to the right side, gets along, but will he be able to hold it? You can see losing the speed and actually taking a little bit of a lift. It's going to be lifting and coasting on the approach to the NDSs.
Could still be a bit afraid of the cold tires. At this point of the race, you don't want to slip out through the patches.
Looks like we have a local yellow briefly coming out, trying to see what the cause of that is. Maybe Kerner, as we see, he's dropped 10 seconds down to Mitchell Diaz. We see Patrick Schimbutzen going for a bit of a squabble fight. Grossi potentially getting himself involved as well. Schlichting, it's a game of shadow clones. It's Ferraris, all identical, all running either 50 or 51. This is definitely not confusing in terms of driver numbers whatsoever. But Patrick leads, Butts in second, Grossi third, Schlichting fourth. And they're all challenging for the space on one another.
Oh. Just on the hypercar side, somebody almost hit the wall a bit there.
Dicey games. Debris on the back of Bellucci here. I think trying to use the Lambo is a little bit of a tow. Use your opponents to your advantage. Play smart. Even working with your opponents a little bit will help to get you back in range. Like Bellucci, 2 seconds behind Bouquet right now. These two could work together and start to claw that gap back.
Yeah, it's in longer races especially. Sometimes cooperating with your opponents can be the best way to gain positions on track.
It's about a lesser of two evils. So you could both stand to gain, and say almost as if applying principles of warfare tactics, mutually beneficial means can sometimes bring even the hardest of rivals together when it comes to moving forward on the track. Case in point, the sea of Ferraris that continues to hold the front. They're all going to be looking to work with one another, at least for the time being. They want to keep each other honest, but they also want to stay ahead and hold on to those podium positions. So we might see Grossi go for a bit of aggression, but he's not going to fight it extremely hard. He's going to reserve the right to retain his spot. And I think that's the smarter play right here.
Yeah, definitely. If you can make it a 4-horse race instead of like an 8-horse, 10-horse race, you have much better chances of being the fastest.
Well, we do unfortunately have a DNF coming in, so I think we found the source of our local yellow earlier. That's going to be Richard Cook, so he has DNF'd here. And this does leave a bit of a predicament, because we've already lost one car and we're not even 10 minutes in.
Yeah. It's unfortunate for him.
We're on board with the number 4 Penske of Max Holstenius. He's in the Porsche right now, and he's trying to do a bit of fighting with Mitchell Diaz, but Diaz is seemingly, despite not having the wheel time in quali, he's managing to get things down. He's managed to quickly get the pressure on and turn up the wick. He knows that he's got a massive gap ahead of him that he needs to overcome, and he's doing well to try and catch that.
On the GT3 side of things, Nisbet teaching fights been going on for a couple of corners now. Nisbet is showing his intentions by showing the nose behind. Franklin moved defensive on the inside. And the top end speed seems to have carried Nisbet through.
Very nice.
Oh, very close on the back end though. Maybe he can get the slingshot back with the slipstream here.
You're going for a bit of a counter, maybe?
I don't think it's happening. The top end speed just isn't the BMW's favor this time.
Checking in on the hypers as well, we've got Dan Wilson. Oh, brief moment of what looked like almost sleeping at the wheel. He went too far straight on and briefly dipped his tail in the gravel, but you know that's going to be debris. Going a bit too deep in the chicane, but cuts it through on the apex, trying to hold that spot here. So Dan Wilson going to slot his way past, get himself into 8th here for the hypers. Look up to the top as well. We do see Picossi's managed to take at least one of the Ferraris out of this little cohort at the front. He's going to be now trying to chase down Alessandro Grossi for the 3rd. He's in a similar position to where he was before, but Schlitting being much further away does maybe ease the tension.
Kimi Lehtonen still leading the GT3s, closely followed within a second's gap by Robert Purr, and about 4 seconds behind is Jordan 40.
Looking very clean. We see Borgso and Kerner both pitting in, so that seems to suggest that something has gone wrong, and that is going to put them even further behind the competition.
Or maybe a bit of coming together for them.
Yeah, I think that was what happened. If we think back to the first lap on the chicane, they did have a bit of an incident, a bit of a coming together from what I could see. And maybe that has led to now where they've had to make the judgment call box in as early as viable just to get that resolved.
Yeah, you don't want to carry aerodynamic damage here. That will hurt your top end speed. It's gonna be a pain.
Aero damage here is effectively a death sentence to your race, even more so than other events in the calendar. It's such a longer lap. It's such an aero-dependent layout. And beyond that, you're going to be haggled for position already as it is. And you're just going to be handing your opponents positions on a silver platter.
Yeah, definitely. It's a track where you want to keep your nose clean. No close calls with the barriers or other cars, preferably. That's of course anywhere, but here especially.
If there's one place you can avoid it, definitely here. This is going to be the problem area of the calendar. And oh, we see that come to full fruition. That's Button going around, loses the back end of the car. He has to pause and wait for a brief moment of space on the track. He does not want to get in anyone's way there. Rejoining the track eventually in 8th place, narrowly avoiding contact, as that's going to be Wilson, Debris and Diaz all coming through there. Very risky area to lose control and then rejoin the track surface from, but Wilson trying to fight alongside Grossi just loses the car. I think a bit of maybe a lift off oversteer and just having his tail go faster than his front.
Yeah, that can happen if you haven't got your brake balance quite right though. If you brake a bit too hard and lock up, it's easily done.
I mean, we did even see a wobble prior to that incident coming from Butsin, so it does suggest that maybe he wasn't feeling the confidence in the car and overcompensated in that moment with the challenge from behind.
Yeah, could be.
Either way, he's going to be out of the equation, at least for the time being. And that does open the floor to some interesting battles elsewhere. We've got Diaz currently trying to chase down De Vries, and De Vries is not going to let him have an easy job of taking that corner and taking that position of his. It's going to be battle for P8 here. See what can happen here. Borgsokerner back on track now, trying to regain positions from the GT3s, get back to their respective division. A little bit of a nose in from Diaz as he's trying to pressure and get De Vries into a tight spot where he can't defend. First chicane survived. Let's see how the second and the end of the straight fare. Good pace, good challenge.
We have Sebastian Boxen just slightly losing the car and smacking a wall at the Porsche curves. Really unfortunate for him. It's not gonna be a happy Porsche, that.
Definitely not a happy Porsche by any stretch. It's turned into a bit of a three-way battle here in the hypercar division. We got De Vries alongside a rejoining Butsin, sweeping around the outside at the end of the straights to get himself on the brakes faster. Seemingly regained his confidence, or saying that, bit of fishtailing as he comes out the exit and into the third sector now. Butsin's certainly intent on taking the spot, but is that confidence or sort of pushing of the car going to come back to bite him, as we saw once before? De Vries on the left side, going for that challenge, trying to capitalize on the volatile nature of that Ferrari right now. He's committed to the attack on Diaz, but he's not going to quite have the success. It's the exit speed that's really killing him here. He either fishtails a little bit, loses some core pace, jumping on the throttle too early, or he's just not getting that aero effect combined with an early throttle. It's just not coming together quite yet. So De Vries is a little bit off the tail. It's going to give him about half a second of space, but very aggressive to the left side. Doesn't quite materialize into a move. In fact, loses him time, but he seems to have learned his lesson from this sector of the track at least. He's not going to play too aggressive, or is he? He pokes the nose on the inside briefly. Not getting alongside, but doing everything he can to establish that pressure.
Seems a lot going on with the hypercar currently. The GT3 fields currently calmed down a bit. We have mostly several seconds in cars.
I mean, with the pace difference between the two divisions, I'd argue that GT3s being calm is the best possible scenario. They can focus on getting the best times they can, and in the interim, they're going to have a lot more traffic interaction with the hypercars than maybe usual.
Yeah. And you definitely want the hypercars to pass you on the straights here. It's really awkward if they catch you at, well, any other portion of the map, really.
Yeah, well, even if they catch you on the other portions of the map, it is going to be the responsibility of the hypercar either way. It's just you hope you can time it right.
Yeah.
Checking his Butsin. Trying to close in on to Diaz here. See what time he can make up. Oh, looks like a bit of a too deep run for Diaz. Managing to close a bit of that gap. See what the number 50 Ferrari, well, the other 50 Ferrari has got in store here.
Custom liveries are coming in the May update. I've heard.
Cannot wait.
Cannot wait. Yes.
Oh, contact! Diaz and Butsin butting heads.
Ooh.
Coming through the second chicane. Diaz to the left. Heavy sweep. Frustrated with the move being made. I think he wants to try and repeat what Button did to De Vries just a lap prior. Let's see. Tucks wide. Button's going to read it. Place his car with a wide approach to that right-hander. Looks like they're coming up on the back of one of the Cadillacs. That's going to be, I think, Dan Wilson there. See 21 competitors out on that track. Despite not that being the biggest number in the world, it will end up in some surprising congestion later on, especially after, say, another 10 minutes when we're seeing the GT3s fully commingled with the hypercars around the circuit.
Yeah, not having a full grid tonight is a bit of a blessing for our drivers. There would be a heck of a lot more chaos if you had a lot more of several classes of cars. They can focus on making good laps and not just not dying.
You're certainly right on that part. I believe it is very much a blessing in disguise for the competitors who are out here. So that somewhat reduced grid is going to mean they're spending less time fighting, as you say, and more time racing themselves and not having to deal with congestion. Why do you think that we are seeing maybe a few less drivers than we tend to on Le Mans?
I don't know. I love Le Mans personally. It's a great track to drive on and especially race on. But maybe the timing is awkward. I'm not sure.
You can certainly make a case for timing. It is right at the end of April, of course, coming off the Easter weekend when this race is going on. So maybe not everyone is quite back in it yet. I think we did see a couple of drivers saying that they were on a holiday, or still on holiday. So, I mean, if you are one of those drivers on holiday, enjoy it. Have fun.
Absolutely.
Got to have that break. Got to have that reset. I know I needed it.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I certainly needed that reset. So those 2 weeks, having to adhere to term time, sort of working as a teacher outside of this. So that reset definitely needed. We're seeing on track as well. Bellucci going for an attack on Bouquet. It's going to be fight for P4. Bellucci slicing his way through quite nicely through into the second chicane. He held the position. He held strong. Bellucci getting quite a decisive move, and he's already brought out about 0.4 of a second on the Toyota.
Yeah, that's nicely done.
Certainly a remarkable run. And we have already seen some cars heading into the pits at this point, so we will have some variations and some races within races start to break out. One that immediately comes to mind is we look a bit further down on the grid. We have the likes of Grossi, who has taken his stop in despite previously challenging at the forefront. We have Patouche leading along with Kosi trying to chase a couple of seconds behind and making good time on the gap. Schlichting also going to be there, and we're starting to see those traffic interactions we were talking about earlier. Schlichting going very deep to get past an M4 GT3.
Yeah, those passes happen naturally once you are on a straight because of the top end difference is so massive. But if it happens during the port curves or one of the number of chicanes on the track, it's a bit more complicated then.
I mean, we have have got a little bit more info as well, courtesy of the live chat. Quote, it's that point of the season where some have dropped out as they're not in the field for a trophy. I mean, on some levels, some can understand, but it's always a shame to see drivers go, and even if you're not in the contention for a trophy, you want to hope to see things through.
There are still battles to be had, and every race you do is practice for the next one.
Yeah, as I practice for the next one, practice for the next season where you might be in the field for said trophy, but as a personal life decisions, never going to judge too much on that front. We're seeing a majority of the hypercars now heading into the pits, so they've reached the logical endpoint of their first stint, which means that it is most likely, at least with the hypercars on their virtual energy management, going to be a two-stopper at minimum.
Yeah, probably same with the GT3s. Most of them have gone to the pits now and are coming out.
Yeah, we're looking to strike the ideal balance. Yeah. Yep, two-stopper at minimum. Of course, you're spending so much time at full throttle at max speed that you're going to be fighting fuel consumption. You're going to be fighting energy usage at every turn. And I would not be surprised if we're already seeing some tactics like lifting and coasting and sort of a bit more finely tuned throttle management just to keep things under control, not completely burn the tanks.
Yep, fuel saving to make it one less stop, I believe is viable, but you have to be really careful about it.
It'll certainly be a tight margin. I mean, if it were me, I would still run a standard strategy, but a bit more fuel saving means that I could fight with another car for longer, defend my position. And you can certainly make a case for that, as well as trying to potentially cut yourself out of an extra stop.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, most of the hypercars now back out on track. We see a little bit of a shuffling in the order. Brunello Grossi back up into the podium paying spots. It's going to be in third place. It's going to be about 4 seconds away from Picossi. You see him just on the other side of the chicane now in the distance as Grossi was on the approach. Patush is going to be the leader out of all of this and looking to be holding strong. Doesn't really seem phased by this entire race so far. He's kept quite a good handle on it.
Yeah, he seems to be a solid race. Well done, sir.
Well, the best races are quiet races, and I think Patush has got that wish.
Yeah, the less you mess with the other cars, the less risk there's of a collision or just fighting for spots. That costs you time. You don't necessarily want to do that. You want to be just doing the fastest lap times you can. But when another contestant is in front of you, obviously you do have to pass them if they're slower than you. So it's that's what makes racing so interesting. Especially
a multi-class of this nature. There's a little bit of a sort of fun there as they let and then flashing lights, and I think it was a Patush earlier flashing back. So a little bit of fun, a little bit of almost waving hi to your friend as they go past. So one's waiting at the bus stop, and give him a little wave out the window, the equivalent of that on the racetrack. So hello. Oh, we do see a little bit of a brief dicey moment. That is poor. Going onto the inside there. Patush trying to get past as fast as possible. He really wants to leave Picossi in a tight spot where he cannot get by the other Ferrari. Although it looks like he's going to make a quick sweep around the outside. Before we head now into, I believe we're heading into the Porsche curbs.
On the GT3 side of things, we got Nisbet and Biddle, two closest GT3 cars, within less than half a second of each other in the Mustangs. Also approaching the Porsche curve soon, getting passed by a hypercar.
The hypercars quickly sweeping through, and this is what we were saying earlier about your timing. So you ideally, as you mentioned, want to be passing on the straight, because going through the Porsche curves, we did see a little bit of a risky maneuver coming in from the Ferraris who's tried to get past efficiently. Just don't want to be caught in a spot where you can't get round safely.
Yeah, especially when it's so cold outside, the grip levels aren't quite maybe where they want drivers hope they would be. So it's quite slippery as well. But you want to play it safe.
Yeah, in these kind of conditions, you've really got the sort of worst of both worlds in a sense. So you've got the cold outside temperature, and your tyres are going to have to be worked even harder as you're fighting, ducking left to right, going sort of more aggressive on the tyres, trying to sweep around the outside of another car. Your thermals are going to be pretty important, and especially differences in temperatures, and you're making contact, can drastically affect the grip levels. A hot thing tends to stick more to hot thing than hot thing stick to cold thing.
That's physics for you, folks.
Yep. Thermodynamics 101. Hot like hot, cold like cold, cold not like hot, hot not like cold. Welcome to physics. That is why it's tough to take out
equal out on the temperature.
That is how you physics, that is how you car. This just in.
Right pedal go fast, left pedal stop.
Oh. What more is there to a race car than that? You have the go pedal, and you have the no pedal.
Yeah.
Life really is simple sometimes when you boil it down.
Why use many words when few will do? Well, the battle of Mustangs continues. They have not managed to gain headway on one another, but still sticking within half a second.
So, meanwhile, at the front end, on the hypercar end of the spectrum, things have stabilized somewhat. Of course, are actually pulling out a bit of a gap on one another. You're going to have a situation now where many racers are focused more on individual lap time than they are so much on the course around them. So they're not going to be concerned too much with drivers who are trying to put pressure on them. They're just going to be focused getting the laps in, optimizing where possible, and ensuring that they do in fact have that pace set up and the economy of their car set up with the energy usage in particular for the hypercar end, so that they will be able to take the strategy that they can most use. It is a lot of setup in terms of the car, but also in terms of the moment-to-moment race and using your resources before you can really execute that move you want.
I do wonder if Sebastian Volksen can climb from the bit of trouble he's had. He does have the third best lap time currently on the track with a 14.559. So in theory he could be in third place if it was about the best laps and not the overall amount of time you spent on the track. But we'll see if he can manage to claw some spots back. I believe in you, Sebastian. You can do it.
I think Bergen has certainly got a case to be made for being able to make up some substantial time, but I wonder also where his head's at right now, because he's certainly going to be thinking a lot about that gap to the next car, and that tends to weigh on a driver. That mental game is a powerful one, and unless you can really work to keep your mind at ease, very easy to get wrapped up, and that's when you start to overdrive the car and make even sometimes rookie mistakes.
Yeah, that's where my mantra of every races practice comes in as well, because if you have to make a recovery race, you have to get into that I'm just doing practice laps mindset, so you just try to focus on your apexes and exits and just get good reliable lap times in, and that's what you want to do when you are recovering from a bit of contact with the wall after repairing the damage to recover. And he has done that with that best lap we see there. He could be gaining several seconds on some of our drivers, but we'll see. Almost half the race still left. A lot of things can still happen.
Well, the speed is certainly there. It's about whether he's able to keep that consistent all the way through. And if he's going to have enough time to leverage it, we're over the halfway mark, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a tough call to say whether he'll be able to make up the time needed. I mean, 44 seconds away from the next closest car. Unless he can pull off a strategic masterclass and somehow shave that on strategy, it's looking a little bit unlikely. He's made up 2.5 seconds in the past, say, lap or so, but with the lap's length that they are, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah. Middle and Nisbet still at it. That's gonna be good news for the and Moffat, because they will both gain from these two fighting for position, slowing them both down. Just ever so slightly, but still. Every second counts. They are side by side.
We do have a local yellow coming
very
out.
Close.
Oh no, there's trouble. Ferguson, he's wingless. He lost the car.
No. That's the overdriving thing. You just mentioned must be unfortunate for him.
Yeah, he's dropped the car, he's lost his wing, and he's now in the sticks a little bit, so... Question mark over the rest of his race here. Say over the halfway mark, but will he be able to salvage anything out of this run? That is the question. Jumping at the back of the hypercars as well as the number 93 Peugeot, Kerner, making his way onto Mulsanne. 42 seconds away from Borgso, who himself is 41 seconds away from Pocosi.
I'm sorry, Sebastian. I did not believe in the commentator's curse before I inflicted it upon you. But it is a powerful curse. I see that now. When you have held great responsibility, I have more respect for you now than ever.
The ways of the commentator. Pathway to darker. I'm not going to quote the whole speech. Let's say the commentator's curse is real and one must wield it with tact and care. Sometimes it can happen by complete accident, and other times it's just really, really funny. But unfortunately, Borgerson's on the wrong kind of curse in the receiving end this time round. So 62 seconds off the pace of Stijink. I think he will have to inevitably come into the pits, get that thing fixed up ASAP.
Yeah, he's dropping seconds and fast. That's gonna be good for his race. Robert Bird still leading for the GT3s with a 6-second gap to Timi Lehtonen. In third spot is the Moff, about 12.5 seconds behind. We have a short cruise in the Nisbet and middle fight. There's no second between them. I'm sure that will disappear before too long, and the Ford activities will resume.
I think they'll certainly pull each other in before long, and even when we've seen before that they have drawn a gap to each other, they just as easily claw it back. So, be an area to keep an eye on as things progress. We've been with our eyes trained on Dan Wilson for a little bit. He's currently off the back of Schleeting by about 2 seconds, but he's got angles either side. But now in 7th. He's going to be about 5 seconds away from the Cadillac. So will he be able to push forward? And will he be able to get in proximity of the Ferrari up ahead? He's about a second now away. He's going very much on a push run through the 3rd sector. I think that mistake from Schleeting has given him a little bit of a fighting chance. So it's bore fruit. So we now make our way through and out the exit of the curbs into the final chicanes. And it looks like he's going to be jumping into the pits. Interesting turn of events here for Wilson.
Once again, we have a ride on a straight, and Biddle is immediately closing that gap, slowly but surely, thanks to the Nisbet's Mustang pushing that air wide in front and allowing Biddle to get that nice slipstream going.
They're all about getting yourself in the slipstream. It's going to matter here more than ever.
Yeah, you don't want to get dropped out of the back of cars you are currently racing with. That's a dead sentence to your race. They are all kind of helping to break that mass of air in front, but if you are just doing it alone, it's all up to your car. And you don't want to be that there. You want to be at either the front of the pack or somewhere in the pack, not alone.
Yeah, it's like you're having to be the one to punch through the air, and tucking in behind, you get that less resistance, you get that higher top speed. You do take a cost in your aerodynamics, but that's why you do it on the straight. That's why you stay behind. Why you actually see some drivers dip maybe half of their car outside of the racing line just to make sure that they actually are getting some fresh flow of air, working those aero surfaces, generating that grip, especially if you get it on the inside, well, the inside part of your car to the turn. It can actually help with turning if you have sort of partial aero working on the side that you want to steer to.
Yeah. Biddle had a bit of wall contact there in the post curves. We'll see if the car behaves well, or if it was just a tiny touch without any meaningful consequences.
Yeah, here we go. So multiple cars now spread out up and down the order. Just running some laps now in clean air. I always do find that curious. It's something that always fascinates me is when you do see those drivers effectively just using the air and using their opponents to turn. It's the equivalent of like if you squishy on a soft ball, it's more inclined to roll towards you when you let go of it.
Physics.
Now, I'm realizing here that under the guise of a Le Mans Ultimate race, we've semi-taught a physics lesson throughout this entire ordeal.
Yeah, and as it turns out, racing is also a bit more complicated than just turning the wheel and right pedal go and left pedal don't.
So sometimes many words are needed. Few cannot always do trick.
Sadly, yes.
We do see the drivers seizing every opportunity available. So their car's perfectly set up for Le Mans. They're using their opponents to push themselves forward, both from a physical standpoint, slipstream, manipulating the aero, but also from a mental standpoint. They're using their drivers around them in order to push them forward. It's a healthy battle sometimes can up your pace and can get you in that mindset to drive faster.
Oh yeah, and it is fun. It is absolutely brilliant fun. One of the most fun things you can do with your pants on is having a really close battle with somebody. No matter be it on a karting track or an internet virtual racetrack or where you have your racing battles, they are intense and the racing is real. It's great time. It's great stuff, really. That's why we do this in part. It is damn fun.
I think it's that other element is that regardless of how you want to slice it, fighting with another car on track is a good time. It's such a good time. So you can.
Yes, it is.
It's almost like an elaborate dance on the course. You sort of sweep into one side, they go to the other. You go for a push, then they go for a push right back. It's that ebb and flow, that back and forth. It's reading each other's minds almost in real time. And sort of dancing back and forth between each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of mind games. It's like 5D chess with time travel sometimes. So, there's a lot to it.
That's a term that I haven't heard in a while.
It is an actual game. On
Yeah, it's
Steam
great fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, at the end of it all, and to say why we do this, loving racing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an art form.
It is, and it's also a bit paradoxical with like, you don't necessarily want to spend time fighting with people because that slows you both down. But you want to do it because it's fun. But you don't want to do it because it's risky. But you want to do it because you want to gain a position. There's a lot of questions that are just hard or impossible to answer during the race that will go through the driver's minds. Per Moffat, Lehtonen in the pits, Biddle and Nisbet also bidding in right after one another. It's this is gonna go on the whole race, I think. They must be having a heck of a time.
So the back and forth is gonna persist. Is Bouquet and Schlichting making their way around Kerner there, and both heading into the pits alongside the BMW just slotting in behind. So many cars are now once again going to be heading into the pits. It's that time again. We're about just past the 40-minute mark, so 45 minutes in, we are going to see the final stop, the final stint begin for the majority of the racers out here. We don't see a brief yellow, however. I'm wondering if there's an issue on the course. None that I can see just yet.
I don't see anything on my end either. Sebastian Boxen's got a new wing on his paws. Well done, sir. And well, my hat off to you for keeping going despite your difficulties and setbacks. It's all practice. It's all gonna help you in the end, in the long run.
Yeah, as they push you forward more ways than one. The finish is what matters.
Yes, yes. Jordan 4 is out of the pits. It's like we used to say at my old board gaming club, we play to win, but the winning doesn't matter. It's the playing that matters.
Yeah,
And it's very much the same thing here. We race to win, but we don't do this to win. We do this to race.
Yeah, I say you play to win, but the real win is getting to play.
Mm. The most expensive component of every board game, every virtual racing setup is the human being.
Well, that's quite poetic.
I stole it from Shut Up and Sit Down. Don't tell them.
Gonna bring a tear to my eye until you said that part. All right. We'll keep it on the down low. We'll keep it between you and me.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Live chat heard nothing and won't tell us all.
Yeah, but there's no snitching GRDC. We'll be fine.
Yeah, so back down to earth and onto the track. Bellucci coming on the back of Alessandro Grossi here. Essentially challenging for a position after a bit of a strategic upset. Brought him right into the timings and to the firing line. So coming up to the back of one of the Mustangs. They sweep him by relatively fast. I believe that was Nisbet. He just went by. But say Bellucci is going to remain committed. Sticking with that half a second gap and not really yielding beyond. A little bit of fishtail. Ooh, contact made. They're jumping off the brakes a bit too early there. Trying to roll the car through. Just carries too much speed. And now he's going to be much worse for wear. He's going to be even further behind now. 8 tenths. Sweeping it around yet another car. That one's going to be Jordan Biddle there. 4th place in the GT3 thus far. But yeah, so keeping it within that half-second proximity. You see Lamborghini chasing away, hunting him down as if an animal set on the prey. Especially in the dog, does that Lamborghini look mean?
It kind of does, but I think that's part of the aesthetics of the thing.
They're very sharp, very angular, lots of Y's. That's their design philosophy.
There's quite a bit of modern fighter jet to it as well.
Yeah, so a lot of literally the letter Y sort of dotted around. I mean, like the headlights, the tail lights. So they're, as you said, sort of modern fighter jet motifs. Okay, I think you could slap a sort of stealth fighter livery in May onto that thing and it would look perfectly in place.
Yeah.
Listen to the roar of that thing as well.
Yeah, it's always when a new season is starting, the drivers discussing their car choices for the next season, what they're gonna drive and why. And one of the main points is the sound the car makes, because you're gonna be spending a lot of time in the car. You want it to sound good. Most of them do, but it's still a competition for the best engine sounds, the transmission sounds, everything.
It sort of adds to the character of the car in a way, but
It does, and they absolutely are characters. Each and every one of them, they all feel quite a bit different.
I'd certainly never say no to a screaming Lamborghini engine behind my head.
Yep. Sadly, the only thing I hear in my quiet hometown is mostly two-stroke moped engines with teenagers screaming on top of them. It's not quite the engine sound I enjoy.
I mean, it's a bit more characterful than sort of generic 4-cylinders, which is what a lot I've surrounding of. The same flavour of a 4-cylinder engine, even if it's 7 different cars.
Yeah.
See, less than 10 minutes to go now. As I say, we haven't had too much focus on the racing and on the on-track, but that's purely because in terms of back and forth runs short of the start, drivers have kept in their own lanes. Le Mans is a unique challenge. It's a one of attrition and one of patience more than it is of frenetic split-second attacks and moves like we may see on other tracks. So there's not really much in the same way of chopping and changing, and the strategy's static too. Where the real interest comes in is how the drivers compose themselves over a driving challenge like this.
All about those pit stops, all about thinking when and where you do it, and yeah, no wonder they hold those 24-hour races here. It's like a track is made for it or something.
The track is made to test the drivers and really push them to their limit. I mean, since its original inception, part of the history of this course is being a grueling challenge. Of course, in full distance trim, that is undisputed, though. Even in this short 1 hour segment, it still does pose a unique angle to the calendar.
It does. It does.
Yeah, we kept an eye on Bellucci and Grossi for quite a while now, but they are slowly getting closer and closer as things heat up. Now peeling to the left side, sees one of the GT3s on the left. He knows they can't quite hold the attack side by side alongside Grossi here, but comes up to the left once more, going for the attack, going for a bit of challenge. It won't have the apex on the entry, but will have it on the main corner of the chicane if he's able to hold it alongside. Has to dip her back, however, can't hold it next to. I think that's more about establishing pressure as well. So let's see what he does. Now, heading into the second segment of the Mulsanne Straight, you see a little bit of defensive maneuvers coming in from Grossi. He knows he's under threat by this point. So going a little bit to either side of the track as he starts on one side, so he moves to the other, and then gets himself into racing line. An ideal approach for the second chicane. Bellucci knows he's under pressure, and he knows that the options are rapidly dwindling. With 6 minutes left to go, that's going to mean about 2 laps left. So he's got to make this count.
GT3 side of things, we see Robert Burr still leading the race, just getting passed by the one of the hypercars there. Moffat has managed to out-strategize or drive Jordan Biddle and is now currently in the 3rd position. Well done, Mr. Moff. I think that position change happened between the or during the pit stop, so it's one of them strategic big brain moves.
Certainly playing around with a bit of the track space. One thing I am going to quickly adjust is we're going to adjust in our mini cam just a little bit higher so that we can see all of the details, some of the details that we were previously missing from the bottom.
All right.
Just adjusting that to be a little bit higher. Monitor real-time gaps between Grossi and Bellucci as they run it close for a couple of laps at this point, but neither is refusing to budge. I think Bellucci might be at risk of falling away, however. He's coming up to a second. He is losing time.
Speaking of time, time is of the essence. We are coming to the last 4 minutes of this race. gonna be the last lap starting.
We're on board with Patush
Ooh.
briefly. He's coming up through into the Monson Strait, so he is definitely going to be on his penultimate lap. And then final lap after this one. See a bit of traffic mingling through. Just saw on the mini cam on your side.
Yep. Without driving, kept the noses clean, kept nice. At least there haven't been any traffic incidents I have seen.
You gotta say the Alpine also a fair bit down on the order right now. That's 16 seconds away from Kerner, up in 12th. But still fighting on and pushing through. Just making it to the end is the bit that matters most.
Here's a familiar side. Biddle and Newspet. Biddle this time having managed to get the upper hand and leading by about 5 seconds. Don't think Nisbet has enough time left to catch up, unless there's a vast difference between car and or driver skill, and I don't think there is. Car performance and or driver skill, I don't think there is. They've been so close for the whole race.
I mean, don't get me wrong, these drivers are skilled, but there are still limits, and in a cohort like this, it's a matter of sometimes just a couple of seconds between races. I say just on board with Patush for a bit as comes up to start final lap. Sweeping their way through the Porsche curbs. Two hypers continue to duel. Bellucci drawing ever closer. Once again, taking a bit of a shot at Grossi's personal space. Trying to get under his skin a little bit. Swings to the left, but doesn't commit fully. Oh no, a bit too much on the chicanes. Although Grossi crosses over the chicanes to retain position. So might draw the ire of the stewards there.
Yeah, it's play nice, boys. It's not cool to do that sort of things, but sometimes you must make fast decisions on track. Cars are fast, the decisions are even faster.
So you gotta be careful with how you gain, how you keep positions on track. But we are on board with Patush right now, making his way down the Mulsanne. And looking fast and clean. He's currently got 16.5 seconds on Grossi. So he's not under any immediate threat when it comes to attackers. And he really can just run it clean to the end. He's managed to hit that holy grail, I think. That being the hot lapping mindset. He's not got any drivers around him, short of maybe some GT3 traffic to intercept. He's effectively able to treat this like a hot lap session, rather than a full core race where he's having to fight.
Yeah, if you can put all your energy and focus on just doing the fastest laps you can reliably, it's gonna pay off for you here.
It will pay dividends should it come to pass, but the timer has officially elapsed, and with that we have a certain Ferrari on the hypercar side of defense that is taking center stage. Now Patushi's controlled this race pretty much all the way through. A solid driver with solid finishes, 2 second places, a 4th, a 6th, and a 10th place finish. So solid track record overall. Patish continues to be making some momentum and moving up that wall. He's currently 6th in the standings, but that could be set to change with this result. He's making his way through the next and final segment of the course now.
Impressive drive from him for sure.
The flagging waving high as he now heads his way into the Porsche curbs. Keep that car nice and gripped all the way through. I'd say from the side cams, from the cameras at the side walls, it looks like that car is absolutely glued to the track.
That's a sign of a confident driver and well-made setup and a car.
All working in synergy. Now through the final chicane, Patish takes top honours and the win of the Le Mans round of the World Sprint Championship. Excellent drive from Patish in the Ferrari, and let's see how the rest of things turn out. Grossi, Bellucci both quieting. Oh, last minute overtake. Bellucci on the final chicane. He does take the move. Whether that was relinquished or whether that was overtaken organically, either way, great battles that these two in particular have had. They're going to take home the 2nd and the 3rd. Meanwhile, you have Bur, who is going down into the 3rd sector, making his way quickly to finish this one out for the LMGT3 group. You can see many of the top drivers now sweeping it, pushing through to the end. They puts in, has crossed the line in 4th. Bouquet coming down into the final sector here. And taking a bit of a cruise as he's now finished. Goes into the pits in 5th place. Schlichting in 6th. Wilson in 7th. Quality run. Cadillac putting on a good show. And it's sounding raucous as he comes up to the line. 7th place for Dan Wilson. Diaz with a great recovery as well. 8th place from a, well, technically last on the field. Vries Wallace. Ostenius. Well, a little bit wide to hold on to a bit of a position there. Trying to get around one of the GT3 cars.
Yeah, that is the Ferrari of Timi Lehtonen.
Yeah, that's Lehtonen coming through. Tipur has crossed the line as well. Winner for the GT3s. Then Moffat just coming out of the Porsche curbs now. So Lehtonen crosses the line.
Well done, Timi.
Bussi, Kerner, Borgso, all the hypercars now in. Moffat coming up to the line in 3rd for the LMGT3s.
Very nice solid drive from Moffat as well.
Solid drives indeed. Can't wait to interview the winners.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So you're just going to tag the winners ahead of time. Oh, looks like they read my mind.
Oh, no.
They were already in the interview waiting room. Wow, impressive.
Class act from the boys. Biddle and Nisbet arriving over the finishing line. Right after one another, this time Biddle gaining the upper hand, getting the 4th place, followed by Ian Nisbet in the 5th place for the GT3 side of things.
Well, last couple of cars now making their way through. Stijink heading into the pits. I think there's 40 just completing his lap now.
bit of celebratory wiggling and flashing going on.
Oh, made it to the end of the Le Mans race.
Yeah, well deserved. You survive, you get to celebrate. If you die, you die.
So only one DNF coming out, and that was pretty early on from Richard Cook in the hypercar division. So pretty happy days. Bergersen heading to the pits as well, but then last line cross from the M4, and that is that. Results are in, and results are impressive. Patush, 17 laps later, comes to take home the crown with Bellucci and Grossi in the second and third spots. Putzen and Bouquet, along with Schlichting, Wilson, Diaz, De Vries and Hostenius, make your top 10. Moving on to the second row of the order, we have ourselves the rest of the hypercars. Bokosi, Kerner and Borgso complete before we go onto the GT3s, which is going to be owned by Robert Poor and then Timi Lehtonen, along with Danny Moffat in second and third. Biddle, Nisbet, 40, Stijink and Bergersen complete the order, with Richard Cook unfortunately taking a DNF fairly early on, about 3 laps in. But that's where we take a bit of a moment on things. And before we want to drag our two sort of winners into the fold, I think it's a good time to just reflect on the race that we've just witnessed. So, not the most volatile in terms of positions, but certainly one where the battle was won on strategy and on mind games, rather than back and forth wheel combat.
Definitely, this was about how well your strategy played out, how well you had your strategy thought out in the first place, and how well you could execute on that rather than just raw wheel racing.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Oh, very impressed indeed. So we are going to be bringing in our two winners from the respective groups. We're going to be bringing in Patush from the hypercars as the winner of tonight's round for them, and for the LMGT3s we're going to be bringing in Robert Poor. So we'll bring in Patush first, we'll get a chance to talk to him, and then we'll bring in Poor on the GT3s and see what he thinks. Let's bring him in now.
Fun.
Iga, sorry to drag you in out of the blue. Can you hear us in the commentary box?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tell us, how are you feeling after that round, after that impressive display? What's on your mind?
Yeah, of course, I'm very happy to win my first race this season, and yeah, in the same way, I feel very sorry for Marvin, who put in a very good quali lap, and yeah, there was some incident behind me, and yeah, unfortunately he didn't manage to achieve a podium today, but yeah, my race went pretty good, I'd say, and therefore I'm very happy.
I mean, what were your expectations heading into tonight? Because I mean, you've had a few close shaves with a race win. You had 2 second places during the season so far, and a 4th place last time. So, what were you expecting heading into Le Mans? Were you particularly planning to win, or was it more of a see how it goes kind of perspective?
Yeah, we as a team tried to prepare ourselves in the best way possible, fine-tuning the strategy, what we're going to do. And yeah, we were, of course, trying to maximize the result and achieve a victory today.
And that you have done.
Yes.
Yeah, good showing. Did you do much practice for Le Mans? Or,
Yes.
or do you? Yeah.
Yes, I did, like on Monday. We did 45 laps, and yesterday I also did like 40 laps or something, and that's about like over 1,000 kilometers or something. Yeah.
And that's definitely paid off for you tonight.
Certainly paid off. Well, either way, with that result, and I say my commentator napkin maths might be off slightly. But that result should see you slingshot into the fight for potential third place in the championship season with the rounds left to go. So we have got, I think it was say Algarve, Kota, and then Sebring to finish. How are you feeling about those 3 tracks? Are they particularly strong, weak? What's your opinions?
Yeah, I really have no clue because these tracks I've driven the least until now in the simulation. So yeah, I have to put in some practice as well, and yeah, see what we can do. Of course, try to maximize the result in the end.
Bit of a wild card. Certainly looking forward to it. But hey, Mika, thank you very much for joining us here in the box. Unless there's anything more, Eero, on your side?
Well, I think we're done here.
I'm certainly happy, and say really good results out there. So really taking control of the race and playing the hand to your favour. So looking forward to see what you bring in future rounds. But for now, well earned win, well earned rest. Well done, mate.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
good
much.
job.
So thank you for the stream again tonight, and also I'd like to thank my team, Metal Motorsport, again for the preparation and the massive help. And yeah, I wish you a good night.
Yeah, thank you. And
And
good
thank
night to
you.
you as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, so that was Mika, of course, winner for the hypercar class. Now let's switch gears. Let's talk to the other side of the aisle. Let's talk to Robert Poor, current winner of Le Mans on the LMGT3 side. Let's bring him in. Robert, can you hear us in the commentary box, mate?
Yes, I can. Hi, Ben.
Welcome,
Hello.
welcome. Great
And hi,
result.
Elle, of course.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was a bit unexpected after qualifying because Timmy is just so fast. And but I did it with a strategy again.
yeah, we noticed.
Yeah, I was like 2 seconds behind him, then 1 second behind him, again 2 seconds behind him, but he doesn't do mistakes. So I had to try something, and I just changed the left side tires and not the right side, so I gained 7 seconds in the pits. And luckily, I tried that in practice, and I must say the car felt actually better with old right
Oh.
side tires. It was turning very good in the left-hand corners, but still was really stable. And Le Mans has only left-hand corners. It feels like it, at least. I was a right-hander, so where you need the right left-hand tires most.
That's a
This
novel
is what-
strategy. That's a
Yeah, this
very
is what
novel
I
one.
meant by big brain strategy wins, because that's definitely a big brain strategy win. Well done, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wouldn't have tried it if I didn't do it in practice, but my base was actually the same with old tires on the right side, and the right front was at 40% or a little bit less than 40% in the end.
Ooh.
But yeah, it was the vibration on the wheel was quite annoying for the last 2 laps, but yeah, pace was still good because on the important corners I could still really lean on the tires because left-hand side was still in the 60s of the percentage. So yeah, that was good.
Oh yeah, that's impressive strategy there.
Thank
Sometimes
you. Thank you very much.
sometimes the strategic wins can be they can feel even better than the ones where you just raced wheel to wheel, because you certainly outthinked someone now.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't going to overtake Timmy because we had actually almost the same pace. And the mistakes he did, they were like 1/10 or 2/10, and I
Yeah.
did the same mistakes. So it was going back and forth, and you can't fuel save as much, so you can do an extra lap because it's in the GT3. It's without saving, it's exactly 5 laps. stint, so you would have to save 20%, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
would mean that's not possible.
Yeah,
So
that's massive amounts of. Yeah.
yeah, the entire game was the only possible game for me.
Well, seriously impressed either way. I was trying to think of sort of questions or what to really say, but hey, that approach, that's say really, really using the noodle, and say certainly pulled out to best effect. I guess my main question, my other question to ask is, outside of this particular race, because to say this is going to be another win under your belt, third win to date. And with the track record you have, is certainly a strong lead in the championship. How are you feeling about the next 3 races? So we got Algarve, Kota, and then Sebring. Any particularly strong feelings, positive or negative, to any of those 3?
I have positive feelings toward Kota. Last time I raced there, it was really just clicking. It felt easy. Not so much Portugal and Sebring, and also Sebring is double points, I think, the last round. So it will get down to this, I guess. And yeah, so looking really forward to Kota, but for the other 2, I will have to practice a lot.
Either way, certainly looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
It's really great with those guys, and I want to say. Apart from 1 or 2 situations, I feel like the hypercar is really doing a good job now. It's coming together better and better, so it's really fun to drive against those guys.
Yeah, and that shows during our commentary stint here as well. We were having. We commented on that traffic's been very nice today. It's everyone paying respects and having enough space left, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, thanks. I had just one in the second to last lap. I was side by side with a hypercar in the Porsche curves, and with a small touch, and on the old tires, and yeah, my life was flashing in front of me, but when I opened my eyes, I was still pointing in the right direction, so that went well. Thankfully.
You survived. Either way, you survived.
Yeah, I did.
And say another win under your belt, a solid result. And so now we're going to let you go, mate. So thank you very much for joining us in the box, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Certainly earned it.
Thank you very much, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Yeah, we'll look forward to it. Let's see.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Have a good night.
Good night, bye.
And there we go, folks. So that was our winners of the Hypercar and the LMGT3 tracks, or the LMGT3 races respectively. But we look forward to future tracks now. Say Algarve's next, and it's the same time next week. So we have got plenty to look forward to. It's a straight shot every Wednesday all the way till the end of the season now. And we are going to be here for the whole ordeal. Championships potentially being crowned, fights to the very last round in the wings. But this is going to be a hectic next few weeks, and I'm super excited for it. So from both of us here in the box, thank you very much for watching. As always, we hope to see you at the same time next week as we head to Algarve for round 8 of the championship. Of course, if you want to keep involved and you want to stay with us here, we do recommend, of course, liking the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and keep track on us with places like the Discord and other places like socials. A YouTube channel for stewarding videos and insights on the back end as well, also being provided. But we'll see you all next time. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.
Thank you, and good night from me.